Think, Talera, 2,000 years ago. Your people were being consumed by war. But when peace came to Vulcan, the resonator became useless. That's why it was dismantled. You were right, Talera. The resonator cannot be stopped by phasers and shields. But it can be defeated by peace.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, T&G Podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are veteran Trekkies, and Dory is a newly minted Trekkie, and we are taking her on her first journey through Star Trek: The Next Generation. Today we're discussing the Season 7 episode, Gambit Part 2, original air date October 16th, 1993, and as always we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay, bear with me. I watched this episode a week ago. I did read through my notes. Most of it makes sense. That being said, we're going to start this off with a quote that Riker says partway through the episode. That is, "This is going to take a little time to explain."
Get it? That's very funny.
Okay, let me go to the beginning of my notes. Okay. So, we start basically where we left off. The mercenary ship is shooting at the Enterprise. Minimal damage. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I assume that Riker picked these these targets on purpose. But Troy is like, actually, I think that it's that Riker did something to their weapons, to the mercenary ship weapons. But Data's like, it's our turn to play along, so release inertial dampers and cut power to decks 31 to 37, set phasers to 25%. All right, so Fart says, as a reminder, Fart is Baran, but I don't call him Baran, based on a thought train that led me to calling him Fart last episode,
which is completely reasonable, honestly.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I never said all my nicknames make sense. Okay, so Fart says to divert the power to his station, but like systems are failing. So then the Romulan, who up until this point, I don't think we know her name, but we do learn it's Talera, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, we need to like get the fuck out, as the Enterprise is like superior firepower, and Fart like is like, yeah, we should totally leave. Yeah. So the Enterprise can't follow them when they're in warp, and so they just kind of speed out. And Troy and Geordi are going through the Riker footage from last episode when he like put in his code to figure out if there's like something hidden in that message. Thanks, AV team. Look who's actually doing their job for once. But they're like, they haven't clocked anything yet. So Data thinks that Riker wanted them to let Fart escape. So, okay, back on the mercenary ship when Riker... Oh, wait, no. Okay, just kidding. We're still back with Data. When Riker sent out the command codes last episode, it looks... Oh, another transmission also kind of went along with that. Kind of may have like piggybacked on it. And Data is like, okay, we're going to like scan through to figure this shit out. Okay, so back on the mercenary ship, Fart thanks Riker for saving them. And Picard is working overtime to antagonize Riker. Yeah. In this. He is just like, I am yes-anding the shit out of this scenario. Like, maybe too much. Like, Picard, like, calm down. This isn't Second City, for fuck's sake. So, okay, Picard says, this is honestly so funny to me. Picard says to Riker, you having second thoughts about betraying your comrades? Because that's what you've done. Betrayed them in order to save yourself. You used to be just a second-rate officer. Now you're a traitor and a coward. How does that feel? And then Riker punches Picard in the face.
Yeah.
And this knocks Picard down. And Riker goes, I don't know. How did that feel?
It is melodrama, but it's very entertaining. Like, this episode is full of filler, but some of it
Yeah.
is so much fun.
Yes. There's a lot in this episode. Okay, so Fart sends Picard to the cargo hold of the mercenary ship, and Talera comes down and she's like, hey, I'm confused with your behavior. It is either really stupid or really smart. Like, yeah, that fucking tracks. But he's like, cool, I don't care. But then one of the artifacts that he's been analyzing has like a 98% match to whatever the thing that they're comparing it to. And so then Riker is having a chat with Fart while he's just like lounging on a chaise, I guess. Riker loves to lounge. And Fart says that like they need Picard to confirm one more artifact, and then they can cut him loose. And by cut him loose, I mean kill the shit out of him. So Fart is like, Riker, you need to... Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Okay, so Fart is like, hey, Riker, after all that betrayal, looks like you probably won't be returning to Starfleet. And Riker's like, yeah, no, anyone who's looking to benefit from my 15 years at Starfleet? And Fart is like, we'll see about that. And then Riker asks what, like, this whole plan is. And Fart's like, it will make them all rich. But in the meantime, he should befriend Picard and see who else is, like, Picard's ally. Because he then wants Riker to kill Picard because he's expecting, like, a mutiny or whatever. So...
No, this is, like, 100% the classic, like, I need you to prove your loyalty to me by killing him. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense because... according to what you know, they don't like each other. He would be proud to do that. Yeah. So how is that a test of your loyalty? But the only reason that moment is written is so that we, the audience, can be like, oh no. But it doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so back on the Enterprise, Data is able to get a reading of the warp coordinates for the mercenary ship. And that ship will be there in the coordinates in 14 hours. The Enterprise can be there in 5 hours, so then Data says, make it so, and then Worf goes, oh, finally. So a lot of this episode, and I think some of last episode, Worf has been giving attitude. Worf has not, like, Data's been more of like, let's sort of take a knee, let's assess, and Worf's been like, let's fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
So Data's like, Worf, see me in the ready room, please. And so he tells Worf that he is dissatisfied with Worf's performance as his first officer. Worf has continually questioned Data's orders in front of the crew. But like, Worf wants to fight. But Data is like, let's fucking take a sec. So Worf is like, I've always felt like I could, like, voice my opinions, my thoughts or whatever to Picard or Riker, even if, like, they disagreed. But Data's like, yeah, that's, like, cool when you're head of security, but you're my fucking first officer right now. So, like, that shit's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
You are basically an extension of me right now. And you, like, constantly trying to undercut me is, like, dumb. And you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And so then
Data's exact words. That's dumb. You're being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like, you got a problem? Fucking tell me before I make a decision. And then if you don't agree, tell me in private. Don't, like, announce in front of the crew because it's dumb.
You're kind of undermining me.
Yeah, Data's like, it's my way or the highway. And Geordi will sit in the carpool lane with me. So, like, think about that.
Yeah.
But Worf has decided that he's ready to be passenger princess and is like, yes, Data. Yes, Captain. And so Data says, I'm sorry if I have ended our friendship. And then Worf goes, sir, it is I who has jeopardized our friendship, not you. If you will overlook this incident, I would like to continue to consider you my friend. And then Data says, I would like that as well. And then Worf says, thank you, sir. And I liked that.
I think that scene is legitimately one of the best examples of being able to separate your work from your from your like friendships with people. And I still like going back to that scene. I've actually used it in a classroom setting where, like, I had to like analyze scenes and whatnot, and I quite liked doing it with that. But what I really like about it is that this is a moment that you couldn't have had between these two characters at the beginning of the show. Even though they don't really interact that much, they interact enough that there is enough that we can infer with their connection here, and the fact that they just come out and say, like, hey, we're friends. Like,
Yeah.
I love that about it. I love what
Yeah.
this scene does. I love that it takes a moment that should be tense between friends, and it actually addresses it.
Yeah. And it shows a little bit of growth with Worf, which I appreciate.
Well, I mean, the episode
little
has
bit.
another moment of growth for him later on that I think is a little weird, but we'll get into that when we get there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That growth disappears.
Oh no,
Jesus
I was going to
Christ.
say there's a part that doesn't fit with his character, but we'll get into that.
There's some shit in this episode that is shady as fuck later on. Okay, so then back on the mercenary ship, Riker tells Picard about Fart's plan for fake mutiny, and Picard goes, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave. I have difficulty remembering whose side I am on." Okay, Picard. So Riker explains that basically when they get the sector, they're supposed to like rendezvous with a Klingon transport ship, and he thinks maybe delivering like another Romulan artifact for them. And Picard is like, actually, that first positive artifact is actually Vulcan, not Romulan. But Picard doesn't really know the significance of these artifacts. So Riker tells Picard that after he verifies this last artifact's authenticity, he's supposed to kill him and take his place. And then Picard goes, "Will, you always seem to be after my job." Which is like not super true, but it's
Yeah.
funny.
He's had
'Cause,
more
yeah,
than enough opportunities.
Like he's had opportunities and he has not taken them. But I do think it's a funny line to say.
Yeah.
So Picard's just like, okay, I guess we better start planning a mutiny. And Picard's way of planning a mutiny is maybe some of the least subtle work I've ever seen. He literally goes up to like Rufio and is like, hey girl, how do you feel about a mutiny? But Rufio's like, we wouldn't follow you, man. We would follow Talera. Like we don't care for you, man.
To be fair, something important to remember about this particular ship is that everybody openly disdains the captain.
Yeah, he sucks a lot.
Yeah, nobody likes him, and he very much only exerts his authority by threatening people.
Yeah.
Like, you never see him friendly with anyone directly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something that I know will get me booze, but you guys, fart stinks.
All right, and that's it. That's the end of our podcast. We're never coming back. Thank you.
So then Rufio leaves and like Talera just like slides into the room and she's like, "Who are you? Because I don't believe that you're like actually this guy." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "I found the transmission that like you sent to the Enterprise." And then she's like, so actually my name is really T'Pol and she's a member of the Vashar Vulcan Security."
T'Pol?
Yeah.
That's the name
reference.
of a character from Enterprise. The series called Enterprise.
Oh, okay. She joined this ship a year ago and is there to investigate a possible threat to Vulcan. And Picard is like, "Yeah, I'm Picard." So, okay. So this is her speech. Bear with. So she says, "For several years now, there have been a small but growing movement of extreme isolationists on Vulcan, a group that believe contact with alien races has polluted our culture and is destroying Vulcan purity. This group advocates the total isolation of Vulcan from the rest of the galaxy and the eradication of all alien influences from our planet." Picard says, "Wow, that sounds like the United States." No, I'm kidding.
Nice.
Picard says that, listen, in this day and age, this does not sound that much different than what's going on in the States.
Yeah.
So Picard actually says, that sounds like a illogical philosophy. And T'Pol says, "Agreed, but extremists often have a logic all their own." So with like Vulcan history, before logic, before peace, they were acted like humans. Okay. And they were like brutal, and they use telepathic abilities as their weapon. And there's a time when they used a time when they learned to kill with a thought. So there's this artifact called the Stone of Gaul. It's not magical or mythological. It is a psionic resonator, which is a device that focuses and amplifies telepathic energy. It's one of the most devastating weapons ever conceived, according to legend. It was destroyed by the gods when the Vulcan people found their way to peace. The resonator was believed to have been destroyed during the time of the Awakening. Only one piece is known to have survived, and it was placed in a Vulcan museum. It was
basically
stolen.
It's the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, but this is with more races.
Yes.
In Ark of the Covenant, they just got rid of Nazis. So I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
Well, that's Indiana
so-
Jones. I mean, there are plenty of things about the Ark of the Covenant throughout history.
Oh, when people just say Ark of the Covenant, that's immediately what I go
Yeah,
to.
Greater
is
Symbol
Indiana
Hunter,
Jones.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah, but
it's a real myth. Like
the Ark of the Covenant is like it's not real, but it's like a real legend. Like the
Yes.
movie was basing it on a real legend.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm familiar
Yeah.
with it, but that's my first thought.
Yeah.
It immediately goes to Indiana Jones.
That's fair. I think that's probably most people's first.
Yeah, simply because it's not really a part of culture anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so this piece was stolen, blah blah blah, from a museum. Mercenary ships were started raiding archaeological sites, and she believes that the isolationist movement is trying to reassemble the resonator, and her orders is to stop it. And Fart has to deliver the artifact to the assassin to get paid, so they should basically just continue doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So even though she said her name is T'Pol, no one ever calls her that for the rest of the episode. Everyone continues to call her Talera, including Picard, so I'm just going to keep calling her Talera.
Well, to be fair, before you ever see her in private with him again, he figures out that she's not who she says she is anyway, but we'll get to that.
Spoilers. So Talera, she will destroy everything. She says that she'll destroy everything if before she allows it to be reassembled. Okay. So the Enterprise is now entering the Hyrulean sector. Data believes is where the next destination of the mercenary ship is going. The Enterprise spots a Klingon ship, which has one person in it. Data calls the shuttlecraft, and we meet this guy, Corral, who truly looks like he's about to fall asleep. Mm-hmm. The least amount of energy I've ever seen in a person. And Data is like, hey, I'd like to inquire about your destination and the purpose of your journey. And both times he just deadpan. No. It's pretty good. And Data's like, okay, maybe we haven't made our intentions clear, but we're investigating. And then Coral just hangs up on him. And at this point, to be totally fair, do they even have the authority to be doing this? Because at this point, they don't know about the Klingon stuff. We do, and the mercenary ship does, but the Enterprise doesn't. So now what is about to happen is absolutely fucking crazy, in my opinion. I think this is absolutely fucked up. Okay, so Troy says that he's worried and scared. Right, Worf thinks that they should just take the shuttle, bring it into the ship and search and interrogate Corral. And I'm just like, Worf, what? There's literally nothing. There's no reason why they should have anything, why they should be bothering this guy at all. We know that he does have the thing, but they don't. So they're going off nothing. They have no idea he's involved in anything.
They're going off Troy saying he's scared that they know something.
But the fact that they spoke to him, that Data spoke to him just to be thought that he had the authority to ask where you're going, what you're doing, what the fuck this guy has every right to not answer.
Yeah, he does.
So this is honestly, this got me really frustrated. And Data's even hey, Worf, That's against Federation guidelines. But Worf is ready to whip this information out. How long's he been holding on to this? He's like, actually, if we say health and safety inspection, we could do that. That could make it totally legit. I'm like, Worf, how long have you been sitting on this? That's fucking weird that you kind of know this right offhand in case, like, hey, we need to find some, backwards reason to investigate someone with no cause.
Yeah. It is something that Riker would say.
I don't care who would say it. Riker, Worf, and I love Worf, and I say this is fucked up. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, it is very fucked up.
I don't care who said it. Picard could say it, and I'd still have this exact same reaction. It doesn't matter who said it. I think this is really fucked up.
You know what the moment feels like to me? Like an original series moment. That's something they would do in the original series or maybe in the films.
It's also...
I don't like it.
Let's be real. It's something that the American police state does.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the...
That's honestly, that's what made me think of it.
Honestly, like, let's be real, all governments, they're just like, let's see what loopholes we can get to infringe on people's rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Data's like, yeah, we could, like, totally do the health and safety thing, and Corral can, like, contest those actions and file protest with the Judge Advocate General's office in the meantime. And I'm like, wow, Data kills one guy, and he's, like, changed. So, this is really fucked up to me.
Yeah, this is kind of in the same vein, like when in cop shows they're like, oh my god, I can't believe we have to get a warrant, like, that kind of shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is like, I get that. This is kind of like.
Here's the thing.
This is kind of like standard operating procedure for like TV shows and stuff, but it is fucked up.
Here, my biggest issue is the fact that they have no reason to be bothering Corell at all.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they knew that, he might have it, and they're trying to come up with a way to investigate because they knew that he had what they need. Yeah. But they don't. There is zero reason at all why they should even be talking to him.
The script
and
says
that's
that
what
they
gets me.
should know enough to
go after
him.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because
that's my problem. It's if they have no
really
idea that this guy's anything. They don't know what he's there for. They have no idea. Like, only Picard. At this point, Picard, just the people on the mercenary ship know about the Klingon.
Mm-hmm.
The Enterprise doesn't. So for all intents and purposes, they're just bothering a guy for no fucking reason. They have no reason to be talking to him in the first place, to be bringing him on the ship and interrogating him and talking to him for what? They do not know he has the artifact. If they did know, then, and they're trying to get around, trying to like get into the ship, that's one thing, but they didn't. And so this is completely like just them fucking blazing in and just going against everything for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me the most, is there's no reason for this to be happening. There's no reason why they should be even talking to him.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah, also not sure why like Dr. C would be the one inspecting the ship. Because I thought, like, initially I was like, it said health and safety. Yeah, but I was like, okay. But then I thought that meant she'd be inspecting him. Why would she need to go onto the ship for it?
Well, that's the regulation, that they can stop a ship and do a health and safety inspection of the ship.
But then again, health and safety of the ship, why would Dr. C need to be involved in this health and safety of a ship?
Because she's the doctor?
But wouldn't she be of the person? Not of the ship? Wouldn't that be someone in engineering?
Yeah,
maybe?
but I mean, she, like,
not if you're scanning for diseases.
Yeah, she can scan for diseases and like stuff that would like cause like, medical issues.
To me, I would think that she would go and try to evaluate Corral. She wouldn't be in the ship. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but
we just explained why it makes sense, though. She's the one scanning for like microbes and whatnot. That's not necessarily something that engineering would be looking for. Yeah. Engineering's never the one that's detecting diseases.
Yeah,
I would think they would investigate the person. Like, if you're inspecting the ship, I think that's one thing. But
But I mean,
don't-
like, people...
Like, I get what
in-
you're saying. I just, like, for me, like, having, like, a doctor scan the ship is just, I get why they're doing it, and, like, I get the logic of it.
I mean,
just,
it would be medical
don't
personnel.
like it.
It would be medical personnel. It wouldn't be engineers doing it. Because, like,
well, I just figure that
real
it's
life,
strange for Dr. C
well, she's a main character,
to be doing
right?
it. No, yeah, I know.
But-
I know,
but-
like, they had to find some way to throw her in there,
Yeah,
but,
but-
like,
but having-
I
having
don't
a-
like it.
Having a medical person do the health and safety inspection makes sense. Like, it...
In theory, yes. I have a hard time of, like, her evaluating the ship for health and safety. That's the part that I'm kind of, I get it, but at the same time my brain is also not computing it, because then I also am like, wouldn't she also talk to him? But
Like, maybe afterwards.
I guess no.
Yeah.
So, okay, the Corral, when he steps out of the ship, this man is huge.
Yeah.
I actually IMDb'd him.
Yes, he's a basketball player.
I see in my notes, I wrote James Worthy, former NBA.
Yeah, he was in
6'9".
Lakers.
So I don't know basketball, so I would not have known this man. And
Yeah.
he stood next to Worf, and he was towering.
Yeah.
Yeah, tallest Klingon ever.
Yeah,
Okay,
what,
so
what did you
Wild.
say, 6'9"?
6'9", yeah.
there is a funny story about how he got this, actually. So he was previously a Star Trek fan, and he was on an airplane and ran into Robert O'Reilly, who plays Gowron. And
neat.
he was, like, apparently kind of gushing about it. And they went and got each other's autographs. And
Oh,
as they
cute.
were talking, O'Reilly offered to get him a hookup to see if they could get him into an episode of the show, and they found him a pretty interesting bit part to play, actually. So there we go.
Yeah, honestly, he was a good sport with this. It wasn't like a
He's fun.
particularly meaty role, but he's fun.
I just
think
love how
great.
he just stares so, like, blankly, but it's like with so much hatred.
Yeah, I think also his, like, nose, like when he says no twice, I think he delivered it perfectly. Like, it's just
Yes.
perfect deadpan.
Yes.
So I think he did a great job. Okay, so back on the mercenary ship, Ziggy tells Fart that Corral sent them a message 15 minutes ago saying that he was at the coordinates, but he's been detained by the Enterprise. So Fart thinks that the Enterprise now has the second artifact, and they need to get to the Enterprise and get it back. So Riker's like, I volunteer as tribute to go to the Enterprise and get the artifact. And Picard's like, sure, and then you'll betray us. But Fart is like, you know what, Galen, or Picard's undercover name, you can go with him, and you can supervise. And so, okay. Then on the Enterprise, Troy and Data are trying to make, like, small talk with Corral, and Data's like, oh, we have this, like, cool Klingon wine, and pours him a huge glass of wine, in which Corral just like slowly dumps it on the ground.
In an extremely impractical glass, too.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty wild.
It's a sci-fi glass.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the cargo bay, Dr. C and Worf aren't really finding anything in the shuttle. And Worf is just trying to come up with, like, bullshit reasons to, like, inspect more. He's like, we should download the computer. Worf! There's no... What are... I don't even understand what they're looking for. They don't even know what they're looking for. I just... Ugh. Okay, and then surprise, 5 to board the Enterprise. It's Riker, Picard, and 3 randos in the cargo bay, and Riker shoots a guy. But I'm like, obviously Riker's not really shooting a guy. I just was like, automatically was like, everyone's got to be on stun.
Yeah.
And Dr. C and Worf are very confused. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And then Riker's like, surprise, change of profession. And so they deduce that, like, since Corral... Oh, they're like, oh, he must have the artifact on his person because Dr. C and Worf are obviously still looking in the ship.
Yeah.
And haven't found anything. So Dr. C tells Riker where he is. She's so fucking confused. And Riker keeps doing these like tiny head movements. So I thought he was trying to like signal something to them, but I don't think he really was. And he's like, it's cool. We'll like get there ourselves because we can't. Their security will be on their ass if they try to like go through the ship. So they're just going to teleport, like, transport. It's fine. So then he shoots Worf and Dr. C, and they're stunned. They're obviously not real shoot, but and then they appear in the observation room. I think that's where they are. And with Troy and Data are shocked that everyone's there. They're also like, Picard's alive, but also no one says anything. Everyone's just in shock, which like, I don't blame them. And I'm also kind of like wild that no one blew Picard's cover once. Everyone was like, Riker, what are you doing? But everyone just kind of is like, Picard is...
Yeah.
No acknowledgement of Picard, even though he was like dead 5 minutes ago. So Picard finds the artifact then on Corral, and Data goes, Commander Riker, by taking this action, you risk charges of assault, theft, piracy, and treason. And Riker goes, really? Then I guess adding one more charge wouldn't hurt. And then he turns to shoot at Picard, and he misses, but Picard shoots Riker, and he's down to the ground. And gasp, Troy runs over, and she confirms that Riker is dead.
Yeah.
And
I do think it's important to note that Picard asks, is he dead, first? Which probably hints to her that she
Riker
should say...
asks. Oh, sorry, no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Picard asks, yeah.
Yeah, which probably hints to her that she should probably say, yeah, he's dead, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, Data then... I did note that there was like a random Hawkeye with long hair. I don't remember in the other episode. He just appeared there with them. Does nothing. This man gives nothing except for...
Being hot.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so Data then... So the mercenary group with Picard leave. And Data calls in medical and shields up, and Troy then confirms that Riker is only stunned. And then Riker then sits up and he goes, this is going to take a little time to explain. Yeah. So back on the mercenary ship, Picard gives Fart the artifact, and Picard says, I have something else for you, Bren. And then he punches him in the face and knocks him down. People are really punching for emphasis this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 of them at least.
I think there's 2. I think Riker does one and Picard does one. So Riker, Picard pulls an Uno reverse and is like, Riker turned on us, and since you sent him, this is a betrayal by you. We all could have died. And I think it's time for a new commander. Who's with me? And Rufio and Ziggy and Talera, everyone is also on board with Picard. But Fart is like, joke's on you nerds. I have my lobotomy remote still. But Picard is like, yeah, so you kind of need us to run the ship more than we need you to lead. So you can't really kill all of us.
I absolutely love his exact line. It's, you need us to run this ship more than we need you to command it. And I'm just like, yeah. Fight for the workers, Picard.
Yeah.
But Fart is like, yeah, but I can definitely just kill you. And then Fart presses his lobotomy button, and then he starts choking, and he falls to the ground. He's dead. And then Picard, he's like, yeah, I switched the transponder codes. What? Like, how?
Wow, that was easy.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? When did this happen? You literally just got back on the ship. Like, I don't... Whatever.
He probably did it a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna suspend my disbelief right now for this. Because I don't have the energy. This episode was... It's not a long episode, but it was long for me. I remember this took me hours to get through.
Yeah.
Longer than I'd like to admit.
Yeah, it's just, like, honestly, like, for me, just not interesting.
Yeah.
Episode.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, Picard is now the new captain of the ship, and he's like, Oh, he's like, there will be no more lobotomy devices. There will be no punishment on the ship. Just do your fucking job and like everything will be fine. So they're just gonna like cruise for a bit so Picard can figure out where they're going and where they need to deliver the artifact. So then back on the Enterprise, Riker gets a call from Minister Satok of the Vulcan Security. And they don't have an operative on board this mercenary ship. So it's like, on one hand, I was like, would Vulcan actually give that information? Would they share if they did have an operative? I don't know well enough if like that's something they would do. Like disregarding what actually is going on in the story, would they actually, based on your knowledge of Vulcan, would they actually share that information?
I believe they would. They would with the second officer of with the first officer of the Enterprise, they definitely would.
Yeah. Okay. Something to keep in mind is that while Enterprise kind of went over how, I mean, you haven't seen Enterprise, but while Enterprise spent a lot of time focusing on how like separate these races are, the Vulcans are not just like another race that's out there. They are one of the founding races of the Federation. They and Earth are closer than like any two nations could possibly be.
Yeah,
it's like I knew that they were part of the Federation and everything. I just wasn't sure if they were like how much they were gonna give intelligence wise.
Barring recent events and circumstances, think of it as like the relationship Canada and the US used to have. So they're like very close and like pretty intertwined, like Earth and Vulcan.
Okay.
Yeah. So gotcha. Like they're in the formation of the Federation, like Earth and Vulcan are like, I think they say a couple other planets or whatever, but like there's
five founding races, and yes, the Vulcans are one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So this is definitely within the universe of Star Trek. This is definitely like not unreasonable of a thing to happen.
Okay. Because I was thinking like I wasn't sure if that's just something that they would share or wouldn't share.
No. This is the first episode that actually goes into the Vulcan lore of like when the Federation was founded, and that the Vulcans were a part of it. Actually, so this technically establishes that, possibly to make things like that a little easier to digest. But throughout the films and whatnot, we have consistently seen Vulcans represented within like the highest parts of the Federation. So they have always been there as long as Star Trek has been on at this point in time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I knew they've popped up a bunch of times throughout the show. I just wasn't sure if that's something they would share, that kind of intelligence.
Yeah, you would probably expect that more if you had seen like original series or the films, because it's definitely gone over much there. In fact, one of the reasons that Sarek showing up in TNG was such a big deal was because Sarek is in like half of the original series films, and he shows up in an original episode of the show. So he was somebody that was like very well established.
Yeah.
Party.
And it's also established in the original series that Vulcans, like, they actually, like, in their natural state, they actually have extreme emotions, which is why they have this whole practice of logic and stuff to, like, basically suppress them, because otherwise, like, that was their solution to like the issues they were having on their planet was to suppress their extreme emotions with this like sort of ritual of like just pure logic and stuff. Like it's treated as like a sort of religious thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that is an excellent example of it. It is definitely looked at as more than just a philosophy, but like a way of life.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So then, like, we do know this for sure. Like, Talera is obviously an extremist.
Yeah.
She is a villain.
Yeah.
So, okay, according to Fart's logs, they're going to deliver the pieces to the Kareth Sanctuary on Vulcan, and she knows where the place is. It's been abandoned for centuries. Picard's like, cool, I've been trying to translate these pieces, and like one says like war and the other one is like warnings of death and destruction to anyone who opposes the resonator. But he can't like figure out what the other one says, blah blah blah. There's a missing piece. So then Talera's like, I'm gonna go by myself, cause for it to be less suspicious. But Picard's like, actually super Uno reverse, because I think I should, like, someone should go with you, actually.
Yeah, and Picard, like, smartly, he does it in front of the other crew because it puts her in a corner of, like, she ends up getting out of it, but his strategy is that, like, she'll have to agree if he does it in front of everybody.
Yeah, then he's also like, there should be no problem about our entering orbit. I asked Commander Riker to contact the Vulcan authorities from the Enterprise to let them know that we were approaching. He doesn't want there to be a misunderstanding, didn't want people to think that this was a real raid.
Oh, sorry, we're still on the earlier part. Sorry, I thought we were...
They haven't,
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
No, all good. So Picard was like, yeah, we should call the Enterprise to meet them in case like the isolationists try to escape. Also at this point, I don't think he does not know what's going on. He's trying to be earnest because he thinks they're on the same side.
Yeah.
So, but like he thinks like maybe he should go with her to the drop, but she's like, I don't think so. I know it's like very human to have FOMO, but I think you can sit this one out.
Yeah.
This is a Vulcan matter.
Yeah, this is the point where he starts to get suspicious of her.
The part about him getting suspicious is like the dumbest shit, because that entire scene is just her being really, really obvious about it, despite the fact that she came up with lies earlier on the spot that she managed to handle a lot better than this. So it's like, okay, great.
Okay, so they arrive at Vulcan, and Picard's like, hey, she's about to leave, and he's like, actually, maybe just take one artifact down now, and then, like, we'll give the second one after they pay us.
Yeah,
and she gets
this was
pissed.
the part I thought we were
This
at.
is the part, yeah. So she's pissed, and she tells Ziggy to look up a message to the Enterprise with their flight plan on it that Picard sent to the Enterprise. And Picard's like, yeah, that's right, but also, you are also, your pants are on fire, because you're a liar. And the artifacts are part of a dangerous weapon, and there's no payment waiting for us. And as soon as you get the artifacts, she'll like leave us all behind to be captured. Oh, leave you all behind to be captured by Starfleet. But Ziggy is like, actually, all I really care about is getting my money, and her and Rufio will go with them, and to make sure that they are guaranteed to receive their payment. But Talera's like, fine, that means Picard is coming true. So guess what? No FOMO. And they'll use him as a hostage if Starfleet arrives. And if not, they'll just kill him. That's fine. You know, win-win to her, I guess. Okay, so then they land on the planet in this like creepy-ass dark chamber. And Ziggy immediately goes to this little box on the ground, and she's like, oh, this is like less than half of the payment that's in this box. And Talera's like, yeah, that's like all I could come up with, and just like take it and leave. And so meanwhile, there's this other third piece that was just like sitting there, and she puts it together with the other two pieces of the artifacts, and the device all fits together, and she then tests it out on Rufio, and this like blob flies out at him and knocks him across the room, and I guess he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Rufio.
Then
Thank you. I wanted to make that joke too.
And then also the animation, the special effects were not great.
No.
Also
90 CGI.
The blob stuff, I legit thought it was gonna like melt the guy. I did not anticipate it like throwing him across the room. Okay, so now Talera uses it on Ziggy, and she also dies. So then Talera says, to Picard, how little you understand what you're facing, Captain. You're used to fighting enemies like yourself, people on ships with defense shields, energy weapons, warp drives, but this is unlike anything you've ever faced. This is the power of the mind. And so then she also keeps trying to get Picard to pick up a phaser, but he will not. So then the away team from the Enterprise arrives, consisting of Riker, Worf, and two randos. And Picard shouts at them to put down their weapons and to like don't make any aggressive movements. So the resonator amplifies violent feelings and emotions, and that's why she keeps wanting him to pick up the phaser. And he notices that the last piece that she left in like the cave was the Vulcan symbol for peace, and that stands between war and death. It's a warning that the power of the resonator can be overcome by peace. So Picard pulls basically a Peter Pan and is like, think happy thoughts. And like empty your mind of violent thoughts. And the blob passes through Riker, and then Picard does some exposition, and he's like, when the peace came to Vulcan, the resonator became useless. And Talera is like struggling to get the blob to attack Worf, and honestly, that is the most shocking part of this whole thing, that Worf had no violent thoughts.
I was gonna say that's the fucking one where I'm just like,
impressive.
That's out of character for him.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild. That Worf had nothing. Like, what was Worf thinking about? That there was like nothing. I'm not saying Worf always thinks of violence, but like, what does Worf think about other than he's always like fight. So I don't know. Worf
maybe
cleared his mind to some respect.
Yeah, maybe he was thinking about Alexander.
That's true. Actually, there's less of a chance. There's more of a chance of him thinking about. I feel like there's more of a chance of him thinking about violence than Alexander.
There's more of a chance of him thinking about almost anything than Alexander.
Yeah. True. So
I want it to be nice, but
yeah, no, that's fair. Talera's like, damn, if the blob didn't get Worf, we're really cooked here. Picard says, you are right, Talera. The resonator cannot be stopped by phasers and shields, but it can be defeated by peace. And then she tries to use it on Picard again, but he just like takes it out of her hands. And I really thought Picard was going to smash it right there, but he does not. So now we cut to the Enterprise, and Picard, Riker, and Data are catching up. And they're like, okay, the security minister Satok has taken Talera into custody and has searching for the rest of the isolationists. And Riker tells Picard that once they realized, what the fuck did I write? Oh, because he's like, oh, how did you find... well, they don't ask how you found him, but how they found Picard was once they realized that they weren't on the mercenary ship, that they scanned for his neural implant, the lobotomy machine, and they tracked the signal to the cavern, so that's how they found him. And so Picard also says Satok will make sure that all 3 pieces of the resonator will be destroyed. I feel like they could have done it right there and then... or something. I don't know. What do you mean will be destroyed? Should be destroyed right now. Like, don't put that in a future agenda. That should be this moment. Don't schedule it. Do it now. So Picard tells Riker to set a course for Starbase 227. And Riker goes, wait a minute. You've been declared dead. You can't give orders around here. And Data says, if we are to adhere to the exact letter of Starfleet regulations, then technically, sir, you've been declared a renegade. In fact, I believe you are facing 12 counts of court-martial offenses. You cannot give orders either, sir. And then Picard goes, that's quite right. And as I'm supposed to be dead, I'll go and get some sleep. And Mr. Data, I suggest that you escort Commander Riker to the brig. And Data goes, aye, sir. And Riker starts to laugh and then, like, turns away. But Data grabs his arm and goes, this way, sir. And Riker goes, Data, he was joking. You know that, right? Data? And then the episode ends. And I said, maybe Riker and Picard should use this time to go to Ryza together.
Yeah.
They could use a bit of a rest relaxation after all this crazy stress time. Yeah, so that was the episode. A lot of shit happened.
Yep.
And at the same time, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So, Ronald D. Moore commented that they felt like they had kind of run out of story for part 2, because originally this was like a 1-part story. This wasn't meant to be a 2-parter initially. And they added a bunch of stuff, so like all the stuff about like the Vulcan extremists, like that was new. And the entire thing about this being like kind of an Ark of the Covenant allegory was new. In earlier drafts, actually, the psionic resonator was supposed to be like a weapon of mass destruction. So the way that they went about it just made it seem like, oh, great, it's a slow phaser. Excellent. With a really horrible weakness. All you have to do is think happy thoughts and it's useless. Great. What an amazing super weapon.
Yeah.
And he was not happy with how the episode came out, for obvious reasons. I mean, But, I mean, he didn't write the story. He wrote the teleplay. So, I mean, he was just like, I mean, I did with it what I could, and it didn't come out super well. He figured it was a very classic, like, Gene Roddenberry kind of message, where it was, you know, like, think happy thoughts, you know, peace, etc., which was very much the kind of thing that he would have done. So it made sense, but in, like, a world where Star Trek has a lot more lore to it and there's far more interesting things going on, doing, like, a kind of silly swashbuckler episode like this didn't work very well.
I will say, I think I did enjoy this better than part one, but
oh yeah,
truly,
me too. Me too. It is more fun.
Yeah,
but it's not more interesting.
Stuff,
it's still just like, oh, okay, that's your story. Okay.
I was interested in more like Vulcan lore, but like I don't know. This weapon at first I was like, okay, interesting, and then once it was like, yeah, peace saves the day. I'm like,
yeah,
you've lost me.
Silly. There is more Vulcan lore throughout Star Trek, but this is not a great episode for it.
Because I kind of thought like it did have the potential of like to be kind of cool, because it's like this is like a mythological sounding weapon, but it's real and it's there. But like,
I think if it were powerful, if they had shown that it were powerful enough to destroy a ship, then I think the stakes would have been high enough that it would have been like, yeah, this is fine. But the stakes just weren't high. Like I said, it's a slow phaser with a really horrible weakness. Great.
Yeah, like person versus weapon, the person wins.
Like, why don't you just shoot someone? It's faster.
Yeah, seriously. And like, it doesn't seem like that much of like much more of like an interesting death. It just was these weird blobs that attacked them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point of this then?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It's disappointing.
It is.
I feel like it had the potential to be interesting, because I was interested in like learning more about, you know, as I said, Vulcan lore, and like some history shit is cool, and I'm like, oh, an all powerful weapon that really does exist, that could be potentially cool. But somehow peace made it worse.
Yeah.
Peace was the weapon's downfall.
I think since you are in general like a little interested in like, oh, it's a lore thing now, then once we get to DS9, I think you'll end up having a more fun time, because the show ends up focusing on stuff like that a lot more often.
That's cool.
Yeah, think of it like if Star Trek is the classic hero's journey, then TNG is like an expansion, an introduction of all of this, all of these, like, you know, interesting concepts and laying the groundwork for some interesting stuff to come. And
so
then
like
DS9 kind of tears down the myth and tries to be like, what if it's not as nice as it looks? And
so
then,
TNG is Empire Strikes Back?
No, TNG is A New Hope. DS9 is The Empire Strikes Back. And Voyager is Return of the Jedi, because it's just as unsatisfying as Return of the Jedi is.
So what
Fuck
is
that movie?
Original series? Is it the prequels then?
The original series is the very well-received expanded
the Clone
universe
Wars?
that not that many people actually watch anymore.
The Clone Wars?
Oh yeah,
show?
actually, yeah. No, it's not like that. There isn't really a good allegory. The original series is a lot more basic. There is almost no lore whatsoever. Every little bit of lore that is dropped is something that has the potential to contradict something that comes afterwards, simply because it was an episodic TV show from the 1960s. They didn't expect that this would be a big franchise, and the concept of a big franchise like that didn't really exist yet. So continuity in that regard wasn't thought about at all. So once they finally got to shows where like that was a little bit more important in the 1990s, it made a lot more sense. But that does mean there are inconsistencies. There's still a fucking thing that people point out that's in the very first episode where Captain Pike flat out says he doesn't know if he can get used to a woman being on the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a very 1960s sensibility.
And, I mean, there's an entire episode that is, like, centered on the fact that women aren't allowed to be starship captains in the original series as well.
Really?
Yeah.
What is their logic?
It's the 60s.
Logic? Yeah, it's the rule. That's it.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to be like, they get their periods and they're too emotional.
Yeah. It's one of those things
because men
where,
never get emotional.
I mean, it's kind of the... Okay, so, like, what happens in the episode is, like, this lady, she basically, like, takes over the body of Captain Kirk. And, she's, like, bonkers. And,
oh, great.
Yeah. So it's, like, emotional woman, ruins everything kind of deal.
Great.
And
wonderful.
I think, like, that sort of thing is a good example of how, like, even if you are, like, writing, like, if you're doing, like, speculative fiction and trying to write, like, a progressive future and stuff, you are still informed by the politics of your day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they didn't need to defend the idea that a woman was more crazy than a man simply because in the 1960s that was accepted as a truism.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that you needed to justify or prove. It was something that people already thought.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is unfortunate, but it's something that we've that Star Trek got past, luckily.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. C has now been captain, and Troy has been captain with no one said a word.
You know what? There's female captains in the movies only like 10 to 15 years later. So there we go.
I mean, Star Trek. I think one of the issues they've had an issue with. Well, one of the things that they still struggle with is misogyny. Like,
yes,
picturing, like, first of all, like, treating their female characters well, and picturing a future where women are equal to men, because, like, most of the writers are men, so that's just kind of ingrained into it because of, like, how our current society.
Yep. It's also, like, it's still an issue nowadays. I can give you a great example, actually. So, in like the late 2010s, everybody's aware of the rise to prominence of the Adult Swim series Rick and Morty. Mm-hmm. And Rick and Morty was written by a pretty small writer's room for the first 2 seasons, and then in the 3rd season, they hired a bunch of women into the writer's room, and that also happened to be the season where the writing started to take a dip. And of course, all of the fan base immediately jumped up and was like, well, obviously the problem is these women.
Yeah. And
they would point out the episodes that they wrote and just be like, look at how terrible this is. And it's interesting because when the people behind the scenes were talking about it at the time, they weren't saying, oh, these women are terrible writers. They were saying, well, the dynamic of the writer's room clearly changed, but it's not because they brought in a bunch of women. It's because they brought in a bunch of people that were new writers that were not part of the show for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So they didn't feel comfortable making the same in-jokes with them that they normally would have.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were also probably making misogynistic jokes, so there was that.
Yeah. And there is a phenomenon known as, I believe it's called the glass cliff, if I'm not mistaken. It's basically where, like, that specific scenario is not necessarily like a glass cliff scenario, but it has similarities where the glass cliff is like, an example would be like a company is just like going down the toilet, right? So as a last ditch effort, they're just like, a female CEO, and they basically like just set her up to fail.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So
Kim Campbell.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's Kamala Harris, right? Like, she was set up to fail. I mean, she was a terrible candidate in her own right. but they also set her up to fail. And so that happens a lot, where I think these writers were just kind of set up to fail, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's
I can see that.
if anyone remembers what's the webcomic X you remember the webcomic with the stick figures? They did a lot of math jokes.
XKCD.
Yeah, XQCD. They have a one webcomic that sort of like broke out of like the nerdy circles more, which is like it's two panels. The first panel is like two like sort of male stick figures, and one is doing like math on a chalkboard, and it's bad math. And the other stick figures
yes.
the one stick figure is like, wow, you're bad at math. And then in the next panel, it's the same setup, but the person on doing the bad math on a chalkboard is like a girl stick figure, and it says, wow, girls are bad at math.
Yep.
So it's like women and minorities are just never allowed to fail at anything without it reflecting on the entire group.
And it's because they're not seen as the default.
Yeah.
So they must reflect everyone. It's really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the comparison there with the Rick and Morty shows.
Oh,
so what
sorry.
happened? Yeah, what happened is the fan base got in this big uproar about it, but then at the same time, the writers were talking about how, you know, things were obviously more tense behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that was actually the creators getting more and more crazy, because the two of them are nutbags that are really, really difficult people to deal with. But the other one is the situation where like these people were tight with each other, and now suddenly they didn't feel like they could be that, either because they have some level of misogyny and they felt like they couldn't make those kinds of jokes behind the scenes anymore, or because it was new people. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But the point is that the dynamic changed and people found a way to blame women for it.
Yeah. And also sometimes like people just being mad that they can't make the same type of joke anymore because it's, you know, a shitty joke or like not appropriate, you know?
Yeah. But also like this is recent.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was what fucking season 3 come out, like 2018 or something like that. So like this is within the last decade when feminism was a big discussion point in the circles that this show got popular in.
Yeah.
And like still it was like we couldn't make the same jokes because there was women around. Like yeah, great.
Like that.
So
doesn't
it
make
just
you
shows
look
that
good.
yeah, so it just shows that these attitudes are still alive and well to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like same thing at work sometimes. There's been a lot of like younger guys that have come in, and like they're mostly chill, right? But there are certain comments where I'm like, you know, that's, you gotta change that.
Oh yeah.
Nothing like extreme or whatever, but it's just like, oh yeah, you gotta fix that.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's,
Okay, fair.
It's just disappointing. It's disappointing to be like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, my workplace, like, it's a male-dominated field. It's a male-dominated like, I think I've said before that I work in sports media, so, like, you can imagine how that is. And, like, my workplace has been very chill. And, like, not... Like, other than, like, your sort of everyday kind of misogyny, like, where it's just, like, that's a part of the society we live in, you know, no one's been, like, gross or said weird shit or whatever. But, like, these younger guys are coming in and, like, sometimes that stuff is, like, starting to pop up a little bit here and there. And it's like, and, like, a bunch of the... Like, there's not many women, but, like, the women that were there are, like, not anymore, just because they've, like, moved to different roles, not because of, like, toxic workplace shit. So it's like, oh, I have to nip this in the bud, like, before this goes too far. And it's just frustrating that I haven't really had to deal with that, but now I'm starting to have to deal with it again.
Right, right. So you had a buffer at one point, and now that buffer isn't really there anymore.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's like this wasn't an issue for a very long time. But it's starting to be an issue again, and I'm kind of like a little frustrated.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, and for me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad at least that I'm here, because I can be like, you know what? Say whatever the fuck you want at home, but when you're here, you're not gonna say that shit.
Yep, that's completely fair.
Yeah. So that's the thing that like fucking annoys me is guys being like frustrated like when women are around, like, oh, we can't talk like the way we used to, and I'm like, good.
Yeah,
Good.
you deserve
you
that.
shouldn't be saying that shit.
Yep.
And you shouldn't be saying it regardless of whether women are around or not. And I'm glad I'm getting in your way of saying gross shit. Like, I don't care.
I love that. That is an excellent outlook.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent. Like, I don't really know what point I'm making. I just, like, was like, it's... I guess my main point is that, like, it's still an issue to this day.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, it does feel like manosphere shit has kind of been amped up lately.
yeah.
And the male loneliness epidemic, like...
So here's the thing. A lot of that is like very terminally online stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's ramped up. It's simply that like because of our current what's it called? Because of our current like access to the internet and access to people's opinions that we have nowadays. A lot of stuff that was previously just normal, like regular ass people stuff, is now amplified more.
For sure.
And
But
yeah, so it's not like it's gotten worse. It's just gotten more noticeable.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, and then that's sort of my problem with it, where at least like I know that people like never really stopped believing that stuff, but there was a while there where it was like, okay, well, at least it was considered inappropriate to be open about it, and
Yes.
at least like you didn't have to hear it. Like, at least they were hiding it, you know? And we're sort of slipping back into certain things, you know.
People are defiantly feeling more comfortable acting like that more often.
Yeah, like shit that would have gotten you in major trouble before is like, it's starting to like not be a big deal again, which is frustrating.
I think what it is that it was rarely like authority that would punish people for those kinds of attitudes. It was usually like a kind of a social authority that would do it. And the thing is that we've reached this point where there are now occasional guys that you run into that are very defiantly of these opinions, and their presence is enough to validate people who quietly had these opinions before.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference now, that the few people have been emboldened, but they have created kind of like a sphere around them of, oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Like,
there's less people nowadays that are willing to say, dude, that's fucked up to say.
Yeah.
Like, it used to, like, there was a good chunk of time where it was like more people would be willing to say, dude, that's fucked up, or, you know, something along those lines. And I feel like there's less people willing to do that now. I think it's like, it's a very, I mean, it's really hard to say because, like, also we're in, like, comparing to the States, in the States it's getting extreme, but you feel it slipping in Canada too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
It's like, maybe it's not as extreme here, but you feel it starting to slip, or at least I do. And it's worrying me.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Anyway, kind of got off track a little bit. So I think it's fair to move on to favorite moments and lines then.
I guess my favorite... God, I have to... So many fucking pages of notes for this episode. Oh, I did like when Picard was in his undercover role, and he's like yelling at Riker about like betraying the Starfleet, and then Riker punches him.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I don't know, how did that feel?
Yeah, that was great.
That was pretty funny.
Fucking funny, yeah.
I liked when Data and Worf had their conversation about their friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when Data says like, it was like, oh, Riker, you're risk the charges, and he lists a bunch of stuff, and then Riker's like, really? And then I guess adding one more charge won't hurt, and then he tries to shoot Picard. They're feeling quippy this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then
there's
literally
definitely a lot of that very like Marvel movie quips going on.
Yeah. And then the next scene, then Picard is like, oh, I have something else for you, Baran, and then he punches him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I liked also the last scene with Riker, Picard, and Data in the hallway when they're gonna send Riker to the brig.
Yeah, that's very funny. I struggled to pick anything different than you did, because I think that the best part of the episode is the interaction Data has with Worf, and Data establishing himself that like, hey, I know we're friends, and I know that you're used to operating a certain way, but like that's like, I'm not going to accept that, that like that's not acceptable, and you have to treat me as a captain. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, honestly, like, this episode's fine. Like, it's not the worst episode by far.
It's a consumable episode of television, but it doesn't have a lot going for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this kind of just feels like a little bit of a waste for TNG, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost a swashbuckler kind of episode.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, I'd meant to ask you about this before, but I'm wondering if that's like any of like Patrick Stewart's influence, because I know he was always kind of gunning to do more action, if I remember correctly.
Oh, not as far as I found out. As far as I could tell, they thought the idea was good enough to do an episode out of.
Yeah.
But then for whatever reason, they thought the idea was good enough to do a 2-part episode out of, which made things a lot more difficult because they had done mid-season 2-parters before.
Yeah.
But it was never anything that they had like expanded out of a single part the way that this was.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a lot of filler, and like Ronald D. Moore is a very good writer, so he found fun things to do with that filler.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many things at the beginning of the episode that are just like shot, reverse shot, and you're like, okay, great, not very exciting.
Yeah, I really, like, number one, I don't think this needed to be a 2-parter.
I agree.
And number two,
I agree.
Same.
Yeah, and number two, I just don't think this feels like TNG.
No, you're right.
I just...
It feels like a swashbuckling episode.
Yeah.
It's more original series than anything else.
Yeah, the way they did it just does not seem to fit with the tone of the show, or just like what kind of the show it is, what kind of show it is.
Yeah,
and like
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I understand when they did these type of episodes in like season 1 and 2 because they were finding their footing, but it's like you've established what the show is now, and this doesn't really fit into it. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. My favorite moment was also the one between Data and Worf in the ready room, but I already pointed that out, and I also hyped it up a little bit in the previous episode because I was excited for that moment because I like it so much. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's all I got to say.
All right. All right. So predictions for the next episode. The next episode is a Data episode. It's called Phantasms.
Yeah, I sure hope it is. I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure like what kind of tidbit to give you for this. It's basically like it's another Data has weird nightmares episode. And at the same time the Enterprise has a warp core that isn't working how they're expecting it to. They have a new engine, basically.
And the new engine is affecting Data's sleep schedule.
Probably. I'll be honest.
Yeah, he's not getting enough REM sleep, so he keeps waking up and like.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I remember a lot of the visuals of this episode, but I do not remember a lot of what this episode actually like is and is about.
Okay.
So, what do you think is causing Data's weird nightmares besides the engine?
Eating before going to sleep. No. That's what gives me nightmares sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what happens if Data tries to eat stuff.
Oh, there you go. Maybe he had some of the blood wine.
Yeah, let me read the Netflix description. Data
Okay.
experiences puzzling nightmares as the Enterprise deals with a new warp core that doesn't work as expected.
Okay, so I do think that the warp core has something to do with Data sleeping. Maybe there's something in the new warp core that kind of interferes with his systems and like some kind of interference. So it causes like, I think it causes him to have like the weird dreams. And I don't remember if Data necessarily needs sleep or not.
I don't think so.
He doesn't need it, but he does it because he wants to feel like a person.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I definitely think the warp core is some kind of ingredient or part of it, that chemical, I don't know, that causes some kind of fizziness or interference in Data's systems, which maybe when Data is dreaming, then like it goes kind of both ways. It's affecting him and his weird dreams, and then when he sleeps, his dreams start to affect certain aspects of the core. So maybe, like, I'm not saying like he starts to control the ship from his dreams, but maybe there's like stuff about it, like Data is sleeping and he like, maybe there's something about like stopping or turning or going when in his dreams. But I feel like there's some kind of connection there that when Data's asleep causes the ship to get a little wonky, and the ship causes Data to get a bit wonky. Is that enough?
Sure, yeah.
Mutual wonkiness.
Yeah, mutual wonkiness. Yeah, that's good enough. Honestly, like, this is a weird episode to try to tease, honestly.
It really is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll end it there. Yeah, so if you want to figure it out along with us, watch along and join us next time for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.